Hello friends, let's continue with our weaving. So you can see this is where I left off before and I ran out of yarn, so I'm going to again show you how to tie that knot to connect two pieces of yarn. This time I'm doing it in the front, so I'm putting my two pieces of yarn next to each other together and just making a loop together and then putting the ends through that loop. Okay. So alright, so there's two ends on one side, two ends on the other side. The knot, when I separate them now and pull it tight, they're not coming apart. Now I need to trim it. So I'm just going to take my scissors and cut down close to that knot. Once I've trimmed it, I want to pull it again. I just want to make sure those two knots, the two halves are not going to come apart, and they're not. So now I'm going to continue my over and under weaving. All right, so just to review where I left off, I went under here, so I'm going to go over on my next one and then under on the one after that. So I'm going over and under, I'm going around, and I'm starting my next color. And as you can see, I chose the green. If you had contacted me and let me know you needed some colors, maybe you're using the same colors that I want. Now that little knot, you can see it now, but after I go around, I'm going to tuck it in so that it's no longer noticeable. Okay, so I'm going to go over and under and continue around, over, under, over, under, over, under, and pull it tight. Right, and again, over, under, around, and pull it tight. All right, so now you can sort of see it in there. I'm just going to tuck my next weave so that that little knot is underneath rather than on top. And as I go around the next time, it'll start to disappear. All right, so I'm going to keep going over and under and get back to now. You'll notice I'm not using that little piece of twisty tie. I'm just using my fingers. I don't really need the twisty tie anymore at this point. And as I'm going around, I'm making sure that the over-under pattern is over and under as it's going, not just as it's going around, as I go across each of those warp threads. It should be over, under, over, under. If you can see the warp thread sticking out, make sure you have an odd number going around. I know I've said that before and I wrote it into the last slide. But if you're running into a problem, that could be what it is if you didn't double check that. If that's not what the issue is, if you have an odd number and you see that the pattern is not looking correct, you probably accidentally did a double under or a double over. And so I'm going to go around a few times doing it correctly, and then I'm going to do it incorrectly. I'm going to pause this so you don't have to watch me do it wrong, but I'm going to show you what it looks like so that if you need to fix it, you can. Now again, if you get any snags, I just had a little snag, just very gently loosen it up. Don't pull it tighter when there's a problem, always keep it loose. And so I'm going to keep going around. So I'm going to pause this and I'll be right back with what a mistake looks like. Okay, so I started making some mistakes here so you can see what those mistakes look like. Do you see how the warp thread is very noticeable here? Okay, it seems to be popping out of the weaving and making itself known, okay? Because I have more than one going under here and I have more than one going over here, and so now suddenly that warp thread is sort of visible. And if you weave it correctly, the warp thread disappears as you go. okay? So I've made a mistake here, and I need to, the mistakes are pretty easy. You just unravel it and you keep going back until you find that mistake that you made. So I am just having a, okay, sorry about that. Okay, so I am just unwinding here until I see, and I can see it. I'm getting close to where the mistake is. Let me show it to you real quick. All right, so I'm gonna bring this closer. Do you see the mistake? I went over these two yarns. And so this one right here, this one should have been under, and this one should have been over. So that's where the mistake started. So I'm just gonna unravel it to that point, and then I'm going to continue my over and under weaving. And you'll see as I do it this time, you won't see where it's sticking out like that. Okay, so I'm doing my over and under, all the way down. And then I need to pull it tight. And then those warp threads should start to disappear. So I'm going to keep going, and then I'll probably speed it up again like I've done before. Okay, and I'm going to stop the video and show you once again. I'm going to connect another color and keep going. Okay, so I finished up with this color. You notice it's woven correctly. You don't see those warp threads. I'm going to attach another color of yarn. Okay, so again, I'm using the greens, at least those green, and I'm putting these two together, and I'm making a loop. I'm putting the ends through the loop to connect and pulling that tight. All right, so it's like this. Then I'm gonna separate them like this and pull that tight. I am going to grab my scissors, cut the ends, pull it tight again, make sure they're not going to come loose, and then I'm going to continue weaving. So I'm going to go all the way, get the end of that green, pay attention to where I left off. This one's under, which means this next one should be over, and I'm going to go under again, and I'm going to continue weaving and pulling it through. Alright, so I'm going to pause once again, come back when this is woven a little bit more, and then we'll wrap it up for today. Okay, so once again, I've gotten that all the way woven. You don't see the warp as I weave because it's been woven correctly, and it's time to attach another color. So again, you can decide the length of how much of each color you want to do at a time. The shorter the length, the smaller the ring will be. The larger the length, the thicker that ring will be. And then of course you need to decide how much is going to be manageable for you as you're weaving. If it's too long, it might be a little too much, to pull through each time. I'm going to show you tying them together one more time. So here are the two, the one that I'm adding and the one that's left over. I'm putting them next to each other, side by side. I'm making a loop. I'm putting the ends through that loop, okay? And I'm pulling it tight. All right, then I'm going to get my scissors that are always behind me. I'm going to cut where that knot is. And then I'm going to check and make sure that it's nice and tight. Oh, see, that time it wasn't tight enough, so then I just have to do it again. Always pull on it because you don't want to be weaving and then have them come apart. All right, so I've made my loop. Pull it tight. Tighten it up. Cut it and then check it. I don't think I tightened it that time. I think that was the issue. All right. Now it's nice and tight. All right, and then I've got my nice long piece, and I'm going to continue weaving. I'm not going to make you watch me do that. Next time I'll have a little bit more done, and we'll continue. So see you then. Bye.